So I think sometimes I would like a little bit more oomph and enthusiasm, and maybe I would like more confidence in, bearing in mind they're coming to you for the training about like social media. I don't have the training in social media, so I would like them to get confident in giving their opinion. I can only speak for Josh. So, but he is starting to do that now, but it's taken a little while. I think he'll be like, oh, I think we could do this, you know. And I'm like, yeah, just do it, because who am I to say that's wrong? Because I don't know.
Initiative you're talking about.
Yeah, and risk, a little bit of risk of like, you know, like he said to me today, we're doing some LinkedIn work. He's doing some stuff and he's doing really well on that. And he said, we're running out of searches for this one, you know, shall I do some CEO stuff? And then he went off and did it and went, do you want to check it? And I said, no, I don't want to check it. I want you to tell me you think it's okay. I don't want you to randomly go ahead and do it, but I want you to take the responsibility of checking that you think it's the right thing, you know, making good decisions in the business. I think that's really important, that to be able to say, is this the right thing to do? I think it is, and I'm going to go with it. Not just waiting to be told every time.
That's very insightful. So they have labeled this generation snowflakes. They are called millennials, and they work with purpose, supposedly, and not for money. And it's all a bit swishy-washy. And if you like, they don't like any kind of real discipline, really. Like if you push them over, they might not get up again. But they're not all like that. But the majority are. And I love what you say, Julie, because entrepreneurs, we've got 3 tasks ahead of us. We've got a £5 task, a £100 task, and a £1,000 task. Those £5 tasks we shouldn't be touching. And I love that you're saying that I'm giving the £5 an hour task to these guys, and that's the right way of using it.
I do dig in at times, you know.
I love that. That's such great feedback, and I take that on board, and I'm sure Carol does too. That we'll try, because where we said that they'll start as a white belt, like karate, and when they're a black belt, they're strategic, and they're forward thinking, and they are proactive, and yeah, it takes 6 months at least.
Yeah, and I suppose one thing that I would also like, because the one thing he'll say to me, oh, I'm going on a meeting, or I'm going on a this, or I'm going on that. And I would love some feedback on a regular basis from you guys of what have they actually gone through? Because what I find with Josh, and I don't know if it's the same with everybody else, but he's not necessarily forthcoming about what has he actually learned. So I don't always know. I have to kind of like
what happened at school today.
What? Yeah, fine is the answer. And I want to know, well, I've learned how to do blah, blah, blah. Shall we implement that in your business?
Are you all getting the report at the end of the week?
I've not had anything ever.
Nothing.
Who's supposed to do that one? Josh. Yeah. So I'd
like to know, I think in the line of what you're talking about, Julie, I'd like to know what the program is. What is in this training program? So we know what it is they're being educated on. So we can go and say, yeah, as you say, I'd like some of that, please.
Yes.
Well,
you should all have had an email when you let us know about your starter. You might not have had it, Julie, because we haven't set up the
I haven't had it yet. No,
but most people should have had an email saying this is what is included in the program.
See, in the interest,
if you haven't had that, drop your email in here for me, and I'll make sure that you get it.
And in the interest of time, I said this would just be half an hour, and I want to do more if you're willing to do more. All these best practices are so important to me. We did this with a focus of employing young people to help the economy, help them build their confidence, and it's been much more difficult than I would have assumed. In the interest of time, if Nix, you could go next, just 60 seconds, 2 minutes. Tell us about your experience. What could we do better?
So. My Kickstarter's Emma. She started mid-August, and as Gary said, I must be the luckiest person ever. She's amazing. So when I got all my CVs in, I was going through interviewing people, and then when I read her one, she thought outside the box. Her CV was written not a normal CV and the cover letter, and she's also already doing a blog post of her own. So she's got like her own blog posts and stuff. So she's really good at content writing. And I haven't had no issues with her. She's literally...
Nick, you're depressing everyone.
She is fantastic.
And because my business is IT,
Who did you pay and how much and how do we get it?
my business is IT, and she's actually researching what's the cool thing at the moment or what the issues are right now, and she's creating all the posts herself.
And they are good.
What I'll do is I'll add my LinkedIn profile. You can have a look, but she's doing everything herself. Doesn't even need any input from me, really. She'll show me what she's done, but I'm impressed with what she's doing her own research and finding out the latest IT kind of issues and stuff and creating posts. And she gives me ideas. So she created my Instagram page, which I didn't have one.
Incredibly,
YouTube
the
at
difference
the
with
moment.
your one, Nix, is that she is very self-motivated. You can write that on a CV, but she doesn't take much, and she'll just be wow. She's a real creative, and she's inspired by her own work and the work around
it's
her.
amazing work. Every day I'm
Very
seeing
Have an
posts on
IT
everything.
background, or does she have a social media background, or she just
Social media, kind of. She, as I said, she has her own a website where she's putting blog posts about something to do with school, what they don't teach at school. I think is that correct? And it's really amazing stuff she's already doing, and now she's implementing that creative content writing. And
how old is she?
I think she's 19 or 20.
She's quite mature for her age, though. Tim, will you tell us about Claudio? He's made me lose. I look a little bit older just because of Claudio. He's probably the most tricky out of all of your
Very
Kickstarters, I think.
creative, Claudio.
Yeah, he's a lovely lad. I haven't got bad word to say about him, to be quite honest. I'd just be, from a practical point of view, I'd like to know when his meetings are with you guys, so that I've got it in my diary and I know when he's learning and what he's learning. That would be useful. I think long term, I don't expect a lot from my Kickstarter. I'm just thinking, it all comes down to return on investment at the end of the day. If he's earning money for my business by the time he finishes, or he's breaking even, then I'm going to think to myself, there could be something at the end of it for him. But if he's not, then he's not going to be on the team. So for me, it's pretty cut and dry. Gary, you convinced me to do this. I wasn't going to do it anyway. I think it's a great idea. I'm always willing to have a look and see what's what. So let's see what he does. He's a couple of months in, I think. And yeah,
my worry with Claudio at the beginning, he wasn't coming to the trainings. He's a loose cannon. He thinks he knows more than anyone else. And it really took me a lot of time to build his trust, to say, look, just stay within these parameters if you don't mind. Come to the training. He really, if I've got grays, it's because of Claudio. Now, poor Emma's Kickstarter cried. The first moment of me meeting her, pretty much, she burst into tears.
So did I, Gary. So did I when I first met you.
And I was like, right, you're sacked, you're gone. And then Emma, being a healthcare professional, said, look, let's give her a little bit more leeway and see if we can do something with her.
I think Ellie's lovely.
Oh, there we go. So maybe I'm just too critical. Emma, have you frozen?
I think she has.
So we'll go to, how about Cleo?
Let it go.
Cleo? She's got 2. Cleo's the only one that's got 2.
Am I blessed or am I cursed?
I think you got good cop, bad cop in yours. Now, Emma, are you back to
Right.
tell us stuff?
Sorry, I obviously dipped
Go
out.
ahead, I'll mute. I'll
Chatting
come back after.
going on here because obviously we are talking about people, so I need to be careful. It certainly has been a learning curve, and we've got it worries me about the university education where someone whose grammar is so appalling and just simple spelling. So she's been presenting work to me that has just been at the basic you cannot let it go forward because it's just got no end of errors in it. So it's balancing that with a lack of confidence and gearing this Kickstarter up. I'm curious, we've got issues, but I've got her focused, and she's teaching me very much like Julie. I know nothing about social media, so when I'm learning about it, got her into the habit now of logging on to the 9:30 bit. That came as a surprise, and I didn't realize that she was supposed to be. So I said, well, you need to sit there and you need to do that. But she sits there like an absolute bloody lemon.
What 9:30 bit?
Well, not everyone gets a 9:30.
Oh, okay. Well,
Not everyone get the reason, and for full transparency, there were my clients. I said I would personally look after them, and it doesn't mean that they're getting any more looked after than anything else. But the Emma, and
Yeah, so
there's
Josh,
only a handful that have to come at
Yeah.
9:30. Claudio's
Josh-
one.
Josh gets extra meetings with me and my team. So
she'd been missing them, and I realized that actually if we're going to end the 6 months in a positive, she needs to have some training. She needs to have delivered something so we can put it on a CV, because the chances of me keeping her on are not high. And it is interesting as well watching them get their first pay packet, and I'd be curious, the rest of you, what have they gone and done with this, because it is such a shock to them for actually the world of work and actually having expectations. Like, I mean, today she was sent out to buy a pint of milk because that sometimes there's no milk, and the look of betrayal on her face that I'd sent her to go and get a pint of milk. So I'm thinking she's going to go and get more milk now, because you can't look at your boss when there's no milk in the fridge.
Did she give you the look? Oh my God.
I let her go, because quite frankly, if you can't think, if milk is beyond your capability or you're so important, then we do have issues. So really it's bringing her up, bringing the confidence, getting her.
I have seen a little bit of progress in Ellie. I don't know if you think, Emma. She said to me, I've got some ideas that I'd like to put forward to Emma, and they're a bit different from what she, might think that we should be doing. But I'm going to talk to her about it anyway. So I thought, well, that's progress. That's a bit more confidence.
When I asked her for the plan, she looked at me as if I'd sort of like shot a rabbit and asked her to skin it. But it was it was more to do, I just want the plan. I don't need it, I don't need war and peace. I would just like a vague plan of what you're going to do for the next couple of months. Once we'd established that actually I really am just generally talking in vague terms, and then you fill in the detail, because like everybody, I don't have the time, the energy, or the skill to fill in the gaps here. So she's actually got a chance really to work in an organization, very female orientated, which is good for her. First time she's had a proper pay packet. She's, it's that whole using her journalism degree, which I just find staggering. How they didn't check the grammar, I just don't know. And just the whole, my question to you all is, did you know about all the surrounding costs, about annual leave and about NI and about student loans? And I don't think that was very clear until we'd sort of really looked into it. So
We
We
were
get the
told
NI
there shouldn't
included,
be
don't we?
any
should
additional
be
cost.
included.
we've paid some the other day. We made
We have to pay it, but it comes back in the.
Yeah.
I
There
don't know how
shouldn't
it comes
be
back.
any additional cost to you whatsoever. That we
There
were
shouldn't
told
be.
that at the beginning.
It was only £17.81. I've got
Yeah,
to
but
know.
still, there shouldn't
not-
be
I'm not-
anything extra.
And also they get their DWP pays their in transport costs.
For
Gary,
the
could
first 3 months, the DWP paid transport. Yes.
anybody else know that?
Mine works from home, so I don't know.
Particularly,
Most of them work from home, to be fair.
Yeah, they're working from home.
I stopped working from home and I got her arse in, because quite frankly, what does it teach them if they're working from home? I mean, we've already had the bus at my homework conversation more than once, and then I found out that DWP was paying for her to come in. It's like, really? I mean, talk about it on a plate. Right, that's me off my soapbox. But
Emma, she will thank you in about 5 to 10 years for what you've done. She won't thank you now.
I want to know, does she drink the tea that she doesn't want to buy the milk for?
that's a good question. No, she probably doesn't.
Cleo, my favorite. Like you know, I've got a soft spot for you as an entrepreneur.
Old friends, aren't we, Gary?
Tell us how you're
Excuse me
getting on.
today. I didn't think I'd be able to make this meeting, so you've
Are you
caught
in
me
Russia?
my hoodie.
Are you in Russia as we
No,
speak?
I'm in California right now,
Okay.
but I'll move on quickly from that. Yeah, so I have two. They're both
What's your
working
business? Cleo?
I own a nanny agency, so we provide nannies and governesses pretty much around the world. So that's good. where it's at. So they're here to assist also with the blog writing and the social media aspects and the back end of the website. So I have got 2 on board. One, I'm over the moon with. She's taking real initiative with everything, coming up with all her own ideas. She's also a young mother herself, which I think helped. I think the fact that she's interested in my industry and what we're doing, and she feels she can add value to that, and she can. Being a mother has been really great. The other one, I'm really not sure yet, Gary.
I
feel
agree.
like
I
I've
think
never met somebody with so little enthusiasm. But I'm trusting, I spoke with Esther that she's working with the team. I just like
she's
the
a
first
very
time I
immature
sent her an
19-year-old.
Right. Well, the first time I sent her an email, like about arranging a call, and it was like, I'm really looking forward to chatting with you. The response was, sure, call me at 6, something like that. And I was like, I never would have dreamt to speak to anyone like that I worked for at 19. Like, you're trying to make an impression, or at least, sorry, my generation was. We weren't snowflakes. We had to grind. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm hoping that we can kind of push past that. To be fair, she is working from home, and I have had limited availability because of my time zone and personal schedule recently. But I do think she has had a lot of attention from the team and the training. So I don't
Do
know.
you think
what
there would
else
be
to
value
say.
in giving them some content on how the world of work works and how you should work?
I've
the world of work?
just put that down as one of the
'Cause
courses we're
yeah.
going to be making here.
Like, Chloe, you saying the word sure, that's what I get from Josh all the time. Like,
It's
shall we jump on?
unbelievable.
Shall we jump
I
on?
know I'm not alone.
Sure. Like,
Yeah, it's just
yes, please.
like when did it change? I
Uh,
mean, we're going back 15, 17 years only since I probably had my first jobs. It wasn't the same. I don't believe anyone I know conducted themselves like that at work, whether it was in an office or at a supermarket or like you were grateful to be being paid and also supported by people. And I'm pretty soft with people as it is. I'm all about everyone being happy and feeling self-motivated, which I've been really lucky with my other staff over the years. But this is, but then one of them, look, 50% she's all of that. And she's only been on board for 2 weeks. And, if she carries on the way she is, I'd be more than happy to keep her on board after 6 months. So I do see the value in the scheme, but I do think that it's pot luck, and I'm worried.
Not everyone. I just have to say, not everyone is treating it like this. Some employers are getting the training money and saying to the kids, "Stay at home. You don't have to do anything for 6 months," damaging those children. And I hope that the government catch up on them and they audit them. It breaks my heart. We're all here because we really care. There's only 9 minutes left. Chris, do you want to tell us? And then if anyone wants to stay on, I promised it would only be half an hour. This has been such a learning curve for me. Carol, I don't know for you. I've picked up lots of things that we need to be training them on. And I'm very grateful to you all because you shape... Emma's known me forever. I've taken on over 1,000 young people through my career. And it's something I'm passionate about. And I'm very grateful to you all that you trusted us to train these young people. Chris?
Yeah, so I've got Saul. He's doing extremely well.
He's
very happy with him. Downright nice bloke. Got exactly the right kind of values for the social enterprise, which is what we are.
Love Saul.
Sorry?
I say love Saul. I met
Oh
Saul
God, yeah.
job sale in Stockport. He's amazing.
Great kid.
He's got a wonderful name. Not just the Saul bit, but the Hourigan St. Clair. I mean, fantastic. Yeah. Very happy with him. He's, I think he gets that. I want him to work with maximum amount of initiative, self-direction. Obviously, I'm in London. Well, not obviously. He's in Stockport. I'm in London. This is very much a remote gig. I would happily have 2 or 3 like him. I mean, obviously he's early in his evolution. I did feel like the early part of the process, just being transparent and open about this, the early part of the process, suddenly I was offered a person. It was not that I was offered that here's your person. It wasn't like, oh, we'd like you to interview this person. It was just, oh, here's the person. As it turns out, he's brilliant. So I think, again, like a bit like but Nilks, I feel happy. I feel quite fortunate in that regard. He's picking things up fast. I think he's technologically literate, which of course is essential. I would like him to ask for forgiveness more than permission. So a bit like I think what Julie was saying.
Yeah, a bit too polite, isn't he? Sometimes?
He's extremely polite, but we'll knock the deference out of him at some point. And we don't want him to go too far the other way. He's but I've got nothing but praise for him. Really, really pleased.
I take your point, Chris, about here's your person. And we didn't think we were going to have to get involved in this side of it at all, because this is the DWP's part of the equation. They should be finding the young people, they should be matching them, they should be putting them forward. But what we found is that just isn't happening in most cases. And obviously I've, as Julie knows, I've got 20 years background in recruitment before I ran a social media company. So, we are now having to say to people, I spoke to a client this afternoon, just interviewed somebody that Gary had found. And I got on the phone to her straight away and I said, this could be your person. Speak to him at 6 o'clock. If it is, don't hang about, just hire him, because there isn't a plethora of candidates out there. So you can have choice. It's just, there just isn't that situation.
It does seem a bit disappointing. I mean, I got one referral from the DWP that came in, and that person didn't follow up because they don't give you all the details. They only give you the name and a referral number. Yeah. And that person is then supposed to contact you. And so far as I can tell, they either haven't or haven't really tried very hard. I'm not the hardest person to get hold of, to be honest. I'm usually it's quite straightforward. What would really make a difference for me is, Saul is employee number 2 in this company, right? So we don't have a lot of processes and procedures. In my previous companies, I haven't hired people. I've been working on contracts. So having a guide, especially for someone like yourself, Carol, who've been in the HR and recruitment world for so long, something like a checklist that says, not trying to teach you to suck eggs, but these are the things that need covering. These are the expectations. This is what we're responsible for. This is what you're responsible for. This is what the candidate is responsible for. Just so it's really clear and easy kind of checklist. It's almost gamification, isn't it? It's, let's tick all these things off and then we get our badge. Then, we level up or something. Then I think that would just be really good, particularly because some of these are quite young people who don't actually know what they're supposed to be doing or have any expectations.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
I've had to run through all the PAYE stuff. I haven't run a PAYE system before, although for 3 years I worked for a payroll outsourcing company, but that wasn't my area. I'm an IT guy, right? So I did come across, which national insurance band is he in. Turns out Saul's in not the normal band because he's young. He's under 21, so he doesn't have to. He's on a different scale. Pensions. He doesn't have to be auto-enrolled because, again, he's under 23 or whatever. 22. Yeah, so he's only 20. The other thing is the guideline on what he gets paid. And it's an age-based thing. Now, I know national minimum, I think I'm clear on national minimum wage is what is paid by the government for the candidate. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what they'll reimburse you for. So if you pay more, then they won't reimburse the extra bit. But
okay, as a matter of policy in my company, because I get to make the rules, it's national living wage or better. So he gets from me national living wage, not the national minimum wage. And obviously I'll find the money to pay him the extra. But I just think it's cool. I just think it's important for people at that age to understand that not all companies are just.
Saul deserves that. There's some young people that don't that are not showing up physically or mentally. He deserves it. Saul's a good guy.
Yeah, he is. I think all the kids are good in their own way. They've all got their pluses and minuses.
Question about when's the deadline for the number 2, because we've got application in play for a number 2, which is making dread, but I'm also as well.
Well,
Um,
be lucky
Chloe
this
got one good one and one not so.
Yeah, when does that come to an end?
The deadline for applications is the 17th of December. The deadline for filling positions is the 31st of
Emma's
March.
already been accepted with the second one, and
So
we just keep.
31st of March would be the last date somebody could start working for you.
That's good. So
I have
technically,
Milks' one after him.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I was
Grab
going to
another
say,
one.
can I do the same one again? It was a
Yeah.
serious question.
Yeah, we can ask the DWP to up your quota to 2, and we can start the process again looking for another one.
No, as in have Emma again for 6 months.
No
And
chance.
I
No.
don't think you
Or does she
can.
have to re?
Can
apply?
I have
The
Emma
Kickstarter,
again?
Right.
There's going to be a bidding war here. I can hear it.
I already spoke to her. I said this might be a possibility. I'll find out.
I'll get some clarity.
We'll
It
find out.
wasn't the case, but
I-
the rules are changing all the time, so we'll ask for clarity on that.
Well, the
Yeah, I
Scots,
think-
the
Oh,
Scots have
sorry,
got
go.
an extension over. Like London's paying for it, and the Scots are getting an extra 6 months.
Maybe.
I know.
Definitely. Is that definite?
I think
That's
it's
a
pretty
rumour.
definite. Yeah.
Because I thought, in theory,
any-
you can once the thing runs out after 6 months, it finishes, and if I apply for another one, they can reapply it. There's nothing kind of rule to say.
On
you
the
can't.
original rules,
Nice.
no, because it's
No.
supposed to it's supposed to be giving individuals a opportunity. So that would be giving one an individual opportunity instead of 2.
And I think there's something around you can only do Kickstarter once, because once you leave the program, you can't do it again.
They can be rolled into a different program, is my
Yes.
understanding. So you can
Yeah.
roll them from Kickstart into an apprenticeship,
Apprenticeship, yeah.
which is
Yeah.
probably the better way of doing it, also for the young person.
Yeah.
Or just hire them. If they're motivated. I've told Saul that I'm sincerely hope that he justifies his existence sufficiently that we can then afford to hire him, because Convoy happens to be unfunded as well, because I stupidly do most of what I do for free. So I don't know if it's stupid or not. It's just the EFC.
No,
thing, but,
definitely. That's the idea. But then, as I said, my Kickstarter is doing amazing work, but at the end of the day, that work needs to bring in business. If it doesn't bring
Yeah.
business, I can't afford to keep her on. That's the problem.
But
And
I think it's worth making sure that they understand that, saying, part of your job is to find a way to justify a full-time position in this company.
I've already had that.
And
I think
marketing.
that's a really good point there, that maybe that's something that, we talked about what training is, what is it to work in a business. That bit needs to come in. It's
From
like,
the
what
very
is-
first day, we tell them we're really looking at to be kept on. You need 5 times whatever you get paid. You need to bring in 5 times more. And my mantra to them is the whole point of marketing is to turn a stranger into a customer or a stranger into a patient. That's your job. Like, people don't know that we exist, and then you build relationships with them. In the interest of time, whoever wants to go at 6 is that I respect your time. What you've done here has really shown us how to improve. We really do care. I worry about the people that didn't come, because oh dear, we'll have to get in touch with them. But this has been a project that if I'd known how much hard work it would have taken, I might have considered not doing it. But then when I'm looking at what we've achieved, it probably was worth it.
I know. If I'd have thought I was going back into recruitment when I started this, I probably wouldn't have done it, because I left that world 6 years ago. However,
I want to share 2 things with you. The Department of Work and Pensions, okay? So the manager of the Enfield branch, people come out of my little cubicle and they're skipping out because I've interviewed them. And the manager says to me, Gary, what are you doing in there? Like, usually people don't come out of interviews really happy like that. And I said, how about you come in and watch? So she comes in and listens, and she says, Gary, can I confess something? I said, what? She said, I've never done an interview. This is somebody in charge of the job centre. Second bit of insight. This lady, she's a jobs coach. The jobs coach position is to do.
And she's
the
never done an
recruitment.
interview. How could she?
Didn't know what to say. So there's a whole floor of job coaches, and they're just sitting there really gormlessly looking into the sky. And their job is to pair what Carol and I are doing. It's to pair the unemployed with the right person. And they're just all sitting there. And then one of them came down and she was ushering in the people. And I said, why do you work here? And she said, because Gary, I've got a young child and I can phone in sick whenever I like. These are the people that are training our young people.
Sad.
That's
I
all.
would say that anyone, if any of you know anyone who doesn't qualify from the Kickstart, because Gary will take those. The company I run, Convoy Community, is a social enterprise dedicated to helping people get into work. It's provided free at point of need. You can find us at convoycommunity.com, but please, anyone you know who's struggling with the job search, send them along because we can help, and we do help. And we've had 300 members now since July last year.